Welcome to Study Buddy Homeschooling. Today we are going to see the chapter Heredity and Evolution. So we will be covering what are chromosomes, what is meant by genes, what is heredity, and what is meant by variation and its significance. So let's start. We all know that living things are made up of tiny units called cell. Cells are called the structural and functional unit of living organism. So let us see the structure of a cell. The cell has a cell membrane. Inside the cell membrane there is a fluid filled portion that is called cytoplasm, and this is the center part is called nucleus. Okay, so let us see what is inside the nucleus. So you can see over here the nucleus also bounded by nuclear membrane, and inside the nuclear membrane there is a fluid filled portion that is called nucleoplasm, and you can see so numerous thread like structures. It is called chromosomes. Why chromosomes are important? Chromosomes contain the genetic information in the form of genes. The genes are made up of DNA. The full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. The DNA is a double helical structure which you can see over here, and it is tightly packed in the chromosomes. So the genes are, why genes? What is the role of genes? The genes are responsible for the transmission of characteristics from parents to offspring. So that's why the genes are known as the unit of heredity. The offspring receives equal amount of genetic material from parents. Okay, so that's why we are getting the characteristics or traits from our parents. Now, what is meant by heredity? What is heredity? The passing down of traits in the form of genes from parents to offspring is known as heredity. So now here comes the question, why do siblings look different from each other even though we know that they are getting genes from their parents? So the reason is it is because of variation. So let us see more example of variation. So here in the case of bacteria reproduces by asexual reproduction or binary fission. Okay, then when one bacteria divides into two and these bacteria again divides further, you can see minor differences. That is due to the inaccuracy in copying of DNA. That is in the case of asexual reproduction. The variation in the case of asexual reproduction where one organism is involved. So let us see what is happening in the sexual reproduction. We all know that in sexual reproduction the fusion of male and female gametes take place, right? So here in the case of sexual reproduction the chances of variation is more. How? As you can see that the chromosome in humans we have 46 chromosomes. The chromosomes occur in pair. Okay, so we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. So during gamete formation only one chromosome is coming from the parent. Okay, so again one set of chromosome from father and one set of chromosome from mother. Okay, so again this chromosome are getting rearranged. Okay, so again the chances of variation will be more in the case of sexual reproduction. Now let us see few questions. If a trait A exists in 10% of a population of an asexually reproducing species and a trait B exists in 60% of the same population, which trait is likely to have risen earlier? So here they have given trait A exists only in 10% of a population, whereas trait B exists in 60% of the population. So we can conclude that the trait B likely to have risen earlier because the number of population of trait B is more compared to trait A. Next is you can see some variation. So like I said, the chance of variation in sexual reproduction is more. As you can see over here, there is an example of a variation. You can see in the first picture it is free earlobe, and the second picture it is attached earlobe. So this is an example of variation seen in humans. Okay, so next question is, why variation is important? Why variation is important? So we know that there are minor differences or changes due to the inaccuracy in copying of DNA, right? So some changes, some variations are useful for the organism, and some variations are lethal for the organisms. Okay, so let us see, if the temperature of the earth increases suddenly, what happens? All the non-variant bacteria which cannot tolerate the high temperature will disappear. Okay, only those bacteria, or only those variants of bacteria which can tolerate heat can have a better chance of survival in extreme climate compared to the non-variant bacteria. So why it is important? Why variation is important? Variation is important for the survival of the species. Thank you for watching.